So I remember onboarding a customer who was deciding between using us and deciding if she wanted to use Rover for dog walks. So we had a really good meet and greet. Everything went really well. But at the end of the meeting, she mentioned that she had one more interview and that was going to be with a Rover walker. So as you know, my ears like instantly pinned up and was just like, in my inside, but I didn't let the client know this. That was like the advocate in me. Like every time I hear Rover, I just want to like roll my eyes. But I had to remember that this was a client that most likely did not know her options. And at that point, it was going to be up to me to either make her feel uncomfortable or to tap into my sales training. And so I decided that I was going to take this as an opportunity to just educate her. The reality is that Rover is really convenient for people. They spend a lot of money on marketing and ads, and half the time customers just see them as their only option, especially in smaller towns. They click on the Rover ad, they end up booking a sitter, and they just start. I remember like myself years ago, 15 years ago, when I hired my very first dog walker, I didn't really know the process and what to expect and what to look for and how to vet and what would be a red flag. Like, as an educated person, I did not know anything. So I get it. And you want to tap into that when you're speaking with your clients. It's like that empathy. You want to remember that, like, we are the professional, they're not. We do this every single day. So, like, when we go into their doctor's office or lawyer's office, we trust and expect them to guide us. And so, as pet professionals, your client is expecting the same from you as a pro. And so the thing is, when you're looking at options like Rover or WAG for the customer, it's really just convenience and visibility. So I took this as an option to bring out convenience for our business. And what I said to her was, oh, nice. Something you want to keep in mind as you decide, though, tonight is Rover uses dog lovers versus dog professionals. These are your neighborhood residents that could be living right next door to you that decide to log into the app that day. And that's the person you're going to get. So unfortunately, Rover does not have a process where they use W-2 employees. So I typically recommend my clients to look at a company that invests all the way around the board. And I just smiled. I said goodbye in my happy, lovey voice to the dog. And then I went on my way. I wanted to tell you guys all that because I concluded that meeting in my full boss energy. I was feeling confident. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't worried. I wasn't, wondering if she was going to hire the Rover sitter. I knew that I did my part. I showed up. I explained to her all the features and benefits that we offer, more so the benefits on what her life would look like with us. We had a great conversation. The dog and I hit it off really well. And I left that meeting knowing that I did my part. Okay. Full boss, confident energy. And that's what I want to empower you all with this podcast is that you are the boss. You do hold the energy. And we just have to do our part. Remember, these dogs are not talking. So we're the ones that need to articulate what's going on. We want to be the voice of the dog so their clients can make those decisions for them. So, sure enough, she emailed me back shortly after I left. And you know what she said? Natasha, I decided that I wanted to not use that appointment that I had and I wanted to go with you guys. I'd rather invest in your care when it comes to the care of my dog. And that made me feel really good because the fact that she used the same exact words that I use with her, I knew that the messaging that we were using were going to stick. And so I empower you all to kind of think about the way you're talking to your clients, what messaging you want them to hear, how they feel when they're done talking with you. And when she hit me back, I was just like, great, let's get started. It wasn't anything more or less. It was perfect. Let's go and get started. So we understand that these words we use every single day do matter and they do have value. Literally, she could have just booked with them. She could have used someone that can come to her last minute. And I also explained to her that we are not a last minute service. We're not an on demand service. So I was showing her all the things we are not and all the things that maybe Rover was. But I also explained to her the value in using some of those added features and the risks that come with that as well. So it was really just a few taps on her phone that she could have gone with them. But I showed her that having an operational process with us, showing her how our business works, she can also have a few taps with us. but just with a little more notice. And she got it. So you may be thinking like, you know, I do get a lot of rebuttals or people who are like, oh, they're cheaper. I'm just going to use Rover, it's just more convenient. Think about how you can provide value to the customer and get them to understand the differences between the two without making them feel bad. And so the reality, guys, Rover and WAG are not going anywhere. They're definitely convenient options for customers. And unfortunately, they're still going to use them. So we want to kind of show how we're way ahead of like the gigster economy. But with that, convenience, you also want to share the risk. As you know, there's unknown walkers, there's no direct communication with anyone, any corporate person at, Rover or WAG. There's little assurance about quality or safety. We all know they do very little training. So again, these are dog lovers, people who just decided to drive Uber that day is equivalent to what Rover and WAG do. Someone who just decided to just walk dogs or pets it that day. That's who signs in and that's who gets started. Now, I'm not going to say that's all. There are really great Rover sitters on Rover platform. We, of course, in our community know some that have started there, but then they saw the value and benefits of fully training and vetting their own people and investing in their own brand. And now they're one of us. That's the thing. They've made that commitment to go full throttle in their business versus 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door. And that's what you're kind of relaying to your customers. Are you going to hire someone that has 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door, or a local business within your community that can serve you better, right? So we want to think about why these platforms are so appealing. It's not just the convenience, but it is that flexibility and accessibility. Again, half the times we don't even know who's available. A lot of us are not utilizing Google reviews or utilizing speaking on Nextdoor or in the Facebook groups or using the social media platforms or writing blogs or talking to, local business around us. A lot of people just don't know about our business. In my pet era, I said to myself, Natasha, I do want to be a household name. I want people to know what we do, where we are, and how to find us. As the CEO, I made it my business. Okay. My business is to get the name out all the time so people never not know who we are. As a CEO, learn from me, you all. This is your main job, is to grow the business, making sure sales and marketing is at top of mind, not just signing on a client and then going and serving a client. We all know, as this advanced podcast as this, that every time you sign on a client and serve the client, you are bringing your business further and further behind, because once a client cancels, you're back on the rat race. So people always wonder, who puts us on a rat race? We do. WAG and Rover have a scalable business model where they can reach different people to serve their business, while they just focus on branding and marketing. That is why customers have the visibility to get their service. We want to use and learn from them with the same mindset that we want to hire as quick as we're signing on a client, so then we can stay in the driver's seat to bring in more leads. It's really just omnipresent. The client will see who they see, and that's really who they're going to go with. Could be better or for worse. I can tell you guys, so many times I've signed on clients that said, oh yeah, I've already met with like 2 other walkers and you were the best. And in my mind, I'm like, hold on. How did we get to be the third option of interview? Like, why weren't we the first? Where did they find these other people? Like, where was I? So that's what I think about when I hear people making comments like that. I don't just hear words. I really try to investigate on what these words mean. I know a lot of us will hear something and it goes in and out, and we just keep talking about, the dog and how we're great and we're trusted and we have insurance. But clients are saying things. Okay, you got to listen to what they're saying. They're going to help us, make a better business by just listening to all those little nitbits that drop in. On the flip side, they also lose control. So you may have a lot of convenience, but they really have no control. I mean, I have hired a Rover sitter because I like to look at operational processes. So I was like, let me hire one. Let me see what happens. And I was still home, working from home, and I just wanted them to take the dog outside because I didn't want them to leave it anywhere with my dogs. But I saw that one of the sitters had like canceled, and they were like, well, we're working on sending you another one. That's not really that great. In my brain, again, feels just like Uber or Lyft or Instacart. Okay. I don't want to Instacart with my dog. I don't know about you. Clients are often dealing with walkers or sitters that also don't have a lot of experience. I saw the Rover training and they like make you come to their headquarters and just learn how to put on equipment for like one day and then they just pass you. That's not training. You guys know we do this all day, every day, and things happen on our watch, let alone with a new person that just rolled up off the street who had like 2 days of dog training with just putting on harnesses and then just walked a dog. That's little care behind it. But again, we know all of this. Our customers do not. So, how do we make sure they know that we are, in fact, the only option? Clients will value the visibility, they'll value the convenience, but they're also going to respect you. And what I've learned in my sales experience is that customers will buy from people they respect. You want to make sure you're gaining that respect with your customers. Clients never know like who's going to show up or what's going on, and they're going to lose respect from some of those platforms. So if you are wondering like, oh, I'm competing with them, don't even think in your brain that you are. They're just another service provider that's doing their thing and you are doing yours. So we can combat that convenience with offering higher level of service. We can build in client loyalty by letting the client know that we are their people. I use the word entourage in my business and it really sticks with clients because they're like, wow, I do want to be part of your entourage. My dog loves when you guys roll up and their people are here and, you guys leash and go and they get so excited to see you. I remember in COVID, a lot of people still wanted to use our service, even though we were supposed to shut down. Our team essentially decided that it was best for us to shut down, but our clients were still willing to pay. They were still willing to just be home, ride this thing out, and still pay us because they saw the value in us, obviously keeping our doors open, but also the smiles, the reports on their dogs' faces every time their entourage showed up. Like, come on. Who wants to take that away from their dog? I surely don't. And they literally didn't wanna do that either, and so with Wag and Rover, they don't have an entourage. They don't know who's who from, a can of peas. They're not really sure what's gonna happen in the process, and that makes you such a better option than going with anyone else. We can actually learn from a Wag and Rover experience. We can learn from some of these big, platforms on how to operate our business, having better systems in the background, having obviously more love and care, being trusted, not being a basic provider because we don't want to be one of the basics because we know they're one of the basics, right? We don't want to be equally compared to them because what happens on the flip side where we're like, oh, Wag is this and Wag is that and Rover's this and Rover's that. And then they use us and they're like, well, you're not that great either. You know what I'm saying? Like this experience is not what I thought it would be, considering that you are supposed to be like this local go-to option. I thought you were just raving and saying how bad the other guy is. But when I use your service, it kind of felt the same. So we don't want that to happen. As you go through your pet error, take it from us. Don't worry about the other guy. Focus on what you are doing. I promise you, you will get to 6 figures, 7 figures. You'll sign on so many dogs. You'll be a well-known name because you love your customers like no one else will. And not just you, but your whole team, your whole ecosystem. If anything on this episode today, you guys have learned that although convenience and visibility is valuable, so is a respected, trusted service like yours. If you got value from this episode, please leave a comment. I actually do listen and read all the feedback. I read your guys' DMs. You can find us on Instagram at Pet Error Podcast. And if you want to join our community, you can join the Automated CEO Universe, where we join together. We talk about the episode, we ask each other's questions, and get support. If you want to move forward with our programs, you can go to automatedceo.com and find more about our sales programs and our operations programs. See you on the next episode.